Hey everybody, it is Tuesday, Wednesday, 21st. So this is the first episode of the new channel that I decided to call Encrypted Connections. This has been a long time coming. Excuse me. Still getting over that bug. It's been like 3 weeks. I thought about starting this channel a long time ago, but I was still so scared, man. I was just nervous. I didn't want to be ridiculed and told, you're nuts, you're crazy, you're a weirdo. Like, I've heard that enough over the years when I talked about my encounter. But with the weight of everything that's happened in the last week in our community, I thought it only right that I do this now. So this video is, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I didn't get to talk about on the show. But first, I need to talk about what Kerry meant to me. And excuse me if I get emotional. So when I reached out to Kerry, I emailed him, and he, at that time, Daniela and Brad were all going through some stuff. And I believe Daniela was in the hospital. Brad's ankle was really bothering him. So Kerry was doing the show by himself. And, excuse me. And you could tell, I mean, that guy could not have any free time as it was. I mean, between work, family, recording the show, driving to destinations to do the Odyssey videos, to film the documentaries, like that, I don't know how that guy had any free time. But he gave it so freely. Whatever little time he had, he gave it so freely to anybody who reached out. And so I reached out to him because he had said on one of the episodes, if anybody wanted to help him with the show, to email him. And I said, all right, I'll email him. And what I said to him was, I don't have I have no desire to be on the show. If you need help screening guests or answering emails or comments or something, like if I can help with that, I'll gladly help with that. And Kerry, we talked, actually called me the next day is what happened. And then we talked on the phone, and Kerry asked me, how I had gotten interested in the subject. And I told him, well, something happened years ago. And he said, in that melodic Mississippi country boy twang, he said, well, talk about it, bud. And I didn't do him any justice, especially because he just had that voice, man. And so I talked about it with him. And Kerry told me, you need to come on the show. And I said, I don't know, man. And he said, you need to come on the show, man. That's what we do. He said, don't worry, you're safe. I'll be there. Brad will probably be there. You'll get through it. You can hide your face if you want to, but you'll be okay. We'll talk about it. He said, I did it. If I can do it, you can do it. And he gently nudged me to do it. And so I agreed. I agreed. And I'm glad I did now. I'm very glad I did. Over the course of that month, we communicated back and forth. It started, a text here, like, to tell me what time I was going to be on and what the date was. And then he sent me another text and, asked if I wanted to talk about some of the newer stuff that we discussed or just the one encounter. And then that just led into us calling each other. And then we started talking about regular life stuff. And, like, I'm a Yankee. I'm from the North. I'm not, I'm not a country boy. I grew up in, um, in the city. I mean, not like New York City, but, I grew up in the city and in the suburbs, um, urban, suburban area. There's plenty of urban areas that surround us, but from a distance, we had nothing in common. But when we talked, we started with that common connection, and that was this encounter thing and this Bigfoot thing and this community, and that went into other things, and we realized that we had a lot in common. And that was the thing about Kerry, is he never judged. The moment that we spoke on the phone, I felt like we'd been friends forever. That's how he made you feel. He just made you feel so welcomed and so loved, and so safe. And so we spoke over the course of that month. And I picked his brain about the channel a bunch of times and how he started his, and how I was worried that I didn't have, I don't have a ton of money. I'm a regular Joe. Like, I don't have a lot of money. I got a family. I got a home. I got 3 rescue cats, possibly a rescue dog coming. And I pay the bills here, and I don't have a lot of extra money. I bought this one camera, this Canon. It's probably not, it's nothing to most people. To me, it was a lot, but I was just worried that I didn't have any of the fancy equipment. And Kerry kept telling me, don't worry about that. That stuff will come later. He said, you just need the content is what matters, is that you're going to be there and you're going to be telling your encounters, and it's you, and it's from the heart, and it's genuine. He said, and that's all you need. And I kept telling him, I don't know. And he kept gently nudging me and telling me, it's kind of a responsibility that we take on, people like us, because there's not many of us that have had these up close encounters, especially ones that were aggressive in nature. And he kept saying, it's a big responsibility, but, I think that you should do it, and I think you'd be good at it. And that meant a ton. I mean, hearing Kerry say that, like, that, it was like coming from your dad, you know what I mean? Like, it just meant so much. And so I picked his brain over the next month, and Kerry gave me so freely all the knowledge that he could. He even offered at one point to see if he could look around and find some equipment that they weren't using. And I told him, no, absolutely not. I didn't want that. I just wanted him to help guide me with what he knew, and to give me his blessing, really, because I that was one thing I worried about too. I don't want to step on his toes. I want to step on the toes of people who came before me. And he said, no, God, no, we need as many people in this as we can get. And man, I was supposed to go back on after I did that show. I was supposed to go back on 2 nights later, because that was the Friday night show. We spoke Saturday afternoon really briefly. Remember, I was at my brother's house sitting, dog sitting. And then Sunday morning, I messaged him and said, hey, we should do a quick check on StreamYard to see if it's going to work here, because I was at my brother's house and the internet's not as good as it is here at my house. And he said, brother, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it. We're having lots of issues at work. I'll know more in the afternoon and I'll call you. And I said, okay. I told him, okay, I hope everything gets easier and clears up for you. And, you get out of there and rest a little bit. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about the show. Just let me know what you want to do. So I get a text from him about 2:00 his time. He was in Texas and I'm on the East Coast. So about 2:00 his time, he says, I'm not going to be able to make it. there's too much going on. I'm going to have to postpone your appearance, and I'm going to cancel tonight's show. Excuse me. And I said, oh, all right. I said, no worries, man. I'm not, I'm not concerned about that. I was more concerned about you. Everything okay? And he said, yeah, it's just a lot of stuff at work that's going on. He said, nothing to worry about, just stuff that would interfere with him trying to, get out of there and get to the computer and all that. I said, okay. Said, just, catch up with me later. And he said, all right, will do. And he called me later on that evening, and we talked for about 20 or 30 minutes. When I answered, hey, bud, what you got going on? Nothing, man. What's going on with you? And he said, yeah, just a lot of stuff at work. And I asked him if they got it cleared up, and he said, yeah, most of it got cleared up. And then we kind of joked about a couple things, and Kerry was funny. That was the other thing. He was a funny dude, man. He made these slick little jokes, these offhanded jokes, these dry humor jokes, man. He was a funny guy. And he could bust balls too. That was the other thing I learned real quick. He was good at busting balls, and I'm good. Listen, I'm Irish. My family's from Boston. We grew up that way. So we spoke, and we spoke about life, and we spoke about Mark. And again, we were talking about this stuff. He didn't care about the creatures, but he cared so much about the community and the research, so that nobody ever had to go through the thing that he went through, because it was so traumatic to him. And I can attest to this. It's such a traumatic thing when you're standing in the vicinity of a monster that you were taught is not real your whole life, and you're looking at this thing. It's real, and it's a monster. That's the only way to describe it. It's a monster. 8+ feet tall, hundreds and hundreds of pounds of muscle. I would guess some of these things are probably thousands of pounds of muscle. If those 10, 12, 14 footers people talk about are the 10 footers that Mark sees down there in Florida all the time, that he was just talking about the other day in his video, they got to weigh close to 1,000 pounds, maybe more. I don't know, but it's a traumatic event. I promise you that. And when people say things in the comments like, oh, well, why didn't you get a good shot of this thing? And why didn't you pull out your camera? I'd love to see any of you. I'm not saying you, the community. I'm saying those people, just that group. I'd love to see any of them in that moment when this thing's staring you down. You can hear it breathing. You can feel it breathing. It starts screaming and shaking this giant tree next to it like it's nothing, sniffing the air, and it has this primal reaction to you being there. I'd love to see you grab your camera. I'd love to see that was your first thought, or any thought in that moment. Back when this happened to us, there were no cell phones. Or maybe there were, but there was like the very first Zach Morris Saved by the Bell brick phone didn't have any camera on it. And nobody was carrying that thing around with them. But Kerry, man, I got off topic and now I forget. He just had, I think I was talking about how much passion he had for this. Yeah. So he just had a lot of passion for the community, and that nobody had to go through what he went through. And so we had, that was the last conversation we had. He sent me a text later on that night, and he said, I'm going to book you on the 21st, because he was going home and then going to Florida to film with Mark. And I said, perfect. He said, it's at 6:00. Can you make it? I said, like I told him the first time, I said, brother, for you, I'll be there one way or another. I'll make it. And he said, Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you in a couple days. I'll catch up with you. You know, once he was settled in Florida, he would shoot me a text or something. And I said, perfect. I had gotten a few messages in my Facebook Messenger, which was strange because I didn't put my information out there, and there's probably a ton of Kyle Connolly's in the world. But I got a few after the show, people in the community again that it just solidified the fact that I needed to do this because everybody was so supportive. The few messages I got was probably like 6 or 7. You know, people saying like, "Thank you for doing the show." They enjoyed it or whatever, and I answered every one of those, and I said, you know, thank you. I can't emphasize how much any of that support means to me. That one person would even say anything. I'm getting emotional. Excuse me. It's just been a crazy week. That one person would even say anything like, "Thank you for going on the show." It just, I mean, it really, it means a ton. And to have a few people say it meant a lot, and it solidified the fact that I needed to do this for anybody out there, for myself, and for Kerry, for what he freely gave to me. So I got the few messages after the show, but it was Tuesday. I looked first thing in the morning, and my inbox was like 30 messages. And I'm like, what? I don't even use Messenger like that. And I'm like, I barely go on Facebook. So I'm like, 30 messages, man, that's a lot. But all of a sudden, people like the community talked, and this many people are saying, like, hey, thank you for going on the show. Go back on, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't have a chance to look right away because I was, in the middle of doing regular life stuff. When I finally checked later, the first one I opened said, thank you for coming on the show. We loved it. We thought it was, one of our favorites. This was a lady and her family. And it said, R.I.P. Kerry. My very first reaction was almost a chuckle. And please don't take that the wrong way. It seemed so incredibly crazy that I thought it was like some fake news. But as I kept looking, I kept seeing it. And then I typed real fast to the first person and sent, what do you mean? What happened to Kerry? And then when they didn't write back right away, I went to the next one. What do you mean? What happened to Kerry? And I probably did that to about 5 people. And I could see the last person was typing. And then that's when I found out what happened. I've lost a lot of people in my life. My life wasn't always very easy. And I don't complain. Like I'm so grateful. I'm so happy with who I am, where I am. But my life wasn't always that very easy, and there was a lot of tough times. I lost a lot of people, and for whatever reason, still, I'm having such a hard time accepting this one. Kerry was so larger than life. And the crazy part is the guy was the most humble, kind, selfless, generous, giving person that, I've ever met. I mean, there's a select few that sit in that category. And Kerry was one of them. top-notch human beings is what I call those folks. You know, and I don't say that about a lot of people, but Kerry was a top-notch human being. And to me, that means more than anything in the end. Kerry was a wonderful researcher, and he didn't like being called that, but he was. He was a researcher. He faced fears, he put boots on the ground, and he went and did what needed to be done, along with Mark and all those other guys in the Bigfoot Odyssey family. He was a wonderful father. You could see, I could tell right away. We'd talk on the phone, and, you know, he'd talk about his kids and talk about Linda. And remember him telling me, I got to go. All right, I got to get off the phone. I got to go call Linda, make sure she knows that, you know, she didn't get mad at me, make sure she knows I'm okay. And he touched many lives, and those boots will never be filled. I said this, I tried to post and comment on posts because I thought it was something that I could do to let others know and his family know. Kerry was a hero to me. And I know it sounds crazy. Not an NBA player, not a musician, not a world leader, not a movie star. Kerry. Kerry was a hero to me. An ordinary guy with an extraordinary heart and an extraordinary ability to touch everybody he came in contact with, whether it was through the screen, the phone, email, or in person. Linda had posted that when they went to his job, to see those men, those tough men in those oil fields crying the way they did, it touched her heart, and her kids needed to see how much that those people loved him. And I promise you, Linda, the way that those men were touched and the way that he impacted their lives is the way that he impacted ours too. So you let your kids know that Kerry was in a class with very few when it comes to what kind of person he was. He made a huge impact on my life in such a short time, in a month and a half. Like, of course, I watched him forever, from the very first Odyssey. I was like, oh yeah, this is my new channel. And when you watch somebody every night, like you know them, you feel like you know them, and especially somebody as open as Kerry with his quotes at the end or singing songs where he just lets you into who he was. So I wanted to let everybody know that, you know, he was the same person in real life as he was on here. Maybe even more open and selfless, just because it was off the camera, and he could really, you know, let the guard down. Not that he didn't on the camera, but you know what I mean. He was a giant of a man, not just physically, but, you know, what his soul was gigantic. I hope that in starting this channel, I can commemorate him in some way. I can help to carry on a legacy that he started. I'll never be the guy that Kerry was. I'll never do probably half the things that Kerry did for this community. You know, I don't know anybody in this community yet. I knew Kerry. That was it. There's not many people in southeastern Connecticut who care about Bigfoot. I have nobody here to talk to about this. So I doubt I'll do the things that Kerry did. If there's people out there that would want to talk and they want to come on the show and they want to, if they're close by and I can travel and see they got something going on, like I'll absolutely do that. If I can help, I'll help. But Kerry did so much, and it would be nearly impossible to ever try to replicate the things that he did. So I'm not going to try to do that. I'm just going to try to carry on in some way what he started in his legacy. And I'm going to try to help. That's the biggest thing. I'm going to try to help somebody else. Even if it just means you just talk about it. So thank you, Kerry, for everything that you gave me and helped me with. I am forever grateful. And you were a friend, and you're going to be missed forever. But Wes Germer wrote that legends never die, and that's the truth. So now that that's over, and I'm hopefully done being a big blubbering baby, but it's Kerry, so I don't really give a shit. Excuse my language. We didn't get to talk on the show about some of the stuff that I've been seeing. So I live in Southeast Connecticut. There's not a whole lot here. Mark Zaski is going to help me try to narrow down the areas that I should be focusing on to find these things. Me and him spoke through email over the last 2 days. And let me just tell you, Mark has been just as giving as Kerry. So thank you, Mark. I'm so grateful. I'm so appreciative, brother. You're a master at what you do. I mean, the guy is so smart. It's insane. Kerry affectionately called him a special kind of madman. And he emphasized the fact that was a term of endearment. But I can see what he's talking about. It takes a special kind of madman to run into the woods where these things are. They're there. There's no guesswork. They're there. You see them all the time. And Mark runs right in after him like, hey, guys, just here to hang out. So Mark's going to help me in this area. There's an area in Massachusetts called the Bridgewater Triangle. It's been known for being a weird place. There's been many Bigfoot sightings, UFOs, orbs or ghost lights. There's been other cryptids that have been seen there and stuff that nobody's even known about. Like and I can attest to this. It's a strange place. It has like a micro ecosystem. There's swamps, there's creeks, there's water. It's heavily forested. There's trails there. It's a cool place, but it's a crazy place. I've seen orbs there, like basically every time you've gone, and a UFO for sure. There's no other way to put it. But there's we've been finding structures there. Like we found structures there, multiple tree structures, teepees, and some of these teepees, like some of those things, like the teepee ones, I don't give a whole lot of credence to because they're so nicely built that I feel like, it's probably a person. But a couple of these things, like they just make me shake my head, and I'm still learning this. This is brand new to me. This video stuff. I don't know how to bring pictures in here and show them on the screen. So bear with me. I'm going to try to do that and show you some of the pictures of them. But some of these things are gigantic. I'm talking 30, 40 feet, 50 feet tall, full trees, uprooted from the ground, and then flipped upside down. So the top is shoved 2 feet deep into the ground, and the root ball is at the top. And that's what creates these teepees. I mean, I don't know, a tree that's, this big around, 40 feet long, it's going to be a task for even a big, strong dude to carry a bunch of those things and flip them upside down by, I don't know. May not be, maybe a person, maybe Boy Scouts, maybe a troop of nuns. I don't know. But it's there, and it's a weird place. So it's like Mark says, I take anything. All that stuff to me is data in some way, right? There's other structures that are clearly, they're not made by people. I mean, they're so random and weird. Um, a full length tree shoved in the V of another tree 30 feet in the air that's just balancing there. You know, it's like it's inside the tree like this, and it's just balancing there while there's two others crisscrossing. Little stick structure things like with broken sticks that are only 10 inches long, 8 inches long, 12 inches long. Weird stuff, man. Rock stacks and formations in places that, like, not, you know, it's not right by the pond, it's not right by the stream. Like we go off trail here. We're going into the woods. We're going, trying to get into the brush and like the nasty parts of this place. And there you find these weird things there. And then there's the encounter. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be doing this. Forgive me, please. My first video. I'm still learning. Then there's the encounter. I'm not going to talk about that now because that's a whole episode worth. And I may even want to save that to be shown on Odyssey if they want to have me back on. I'm going to wait and see. But I promise you that one is even crazier than the first one in many ways. It bigger, physically way bigger. This thing was just like it was crazy, man. So we're gonna talk about that too. I'm gonna try to learn how to put some video on here to start an intro video and all that stuff. Like I said, this is all new to me, and I don't have a ton of time to do that. And the pictures and all that stuff. I'm reaching out to anybody out there. I emailed Donnie from Standing Goats Rescue. Donnie, if you happen to see this, or if anyone sees this and you know Donnie from Standing Goats Rescue, I asked Donnie if he wanted to be on one of the first shows to commemorate Kerry. And I ended up doing this show like off the cuff real quick on a whim. But I still want Donnie to come on if Donnie wants to come on. He's one of my favorite people to listen to. One of the most genuine, believable, sweet guys that like you could ever, you know, that you've ever watched. If you didn't like Donnie, then like I don't know what you're watching. And Kerry's had so many great guests, but Donnie's visceral response to what happened to him was what made me connect so much to him. And the same with Kerry. The fear you could see in that guy, and he was such a big guy. You know, hunted his whole life. He figured he wasn't scared of nothing. But I'm telling you, when you see these things in that environment, in that moment when they're mad, I don't care who you are, it's gonna scare the hell out of you. It's gonna change your whole world. I'm no snowflake. You know, I'm no punk. Like, I'm not the toughest guy in the world, but you know, there's not a whole lot that makes me scared, and that whole thing scared me to my core for years. So if anyone wants to come on, email me. The email should be, there it is. There's the email at the bottom. Email me. I'll get back to you. I check my email every day, a couple times a day. It sends me, you know, alerts when I get new ones. So hopefully I can look and see that it's, you know, not just another email from my car's auto warranty that's up again for the 1,000th time. or some stupid site that I decided to sign up for years ago to get 20% off a pair of shorts, and they've been sending me emails for 6 years, probably 8 times a day, filling up my inbox. It'll show me that it's you. It'll show me that it's a personal email, and it'll show me that, it's not some garbage, spam, stupid email. I just want to let everybody know, anyone who reached out, anyone who made a comment, I read them all. And I read them all and responded to them all. I hope I did. And it was the reason I did is because they meant that much. And I felt like it was what Kerry would have done, that he would have responded to them all. He would have tried his damnedest. And in the beginning, when he had the time, he definitely would have. I appreciate any support, anything. Like it means so much to me that anybody would say thank you for going on a show and just sharing something that happened to me. The hope of that show is that it helped somebody, that it can help somebody, that it will help somebody, or that this channel will help anybody in any way. And I promise you, as this channel grows, we're going to do more. We're going to do things for people. I'm all about helping as much as I can. Like, I rescue animals. Listen, man, I feed the raccoon that was out back, the possum that lives under the porch, 3 or 5 stray cats, I think now. Saved the baby bird across the street, the homeless guy in the corner that everybody drives by. Like, I want to help, man. If I can help, if this channel grows, like, and we can help as a community, like, I want to help as many people as I can in as many ways as I can. And that was something that I envied or looked up to in Kerry so much. He did that for everybody that he possibly could. I mean, the guy, I heard a story about the guy had a GoFundMe for a family that raised a whole bunch of money at Christmas. I remember and then Kerry went and gave them $1,000 out of his own pocket. I mean, $1,000 isn't chump change, at least not to me. I don't know. I'm not some big high roller, so $1,000 to me is a lot of money. But that's the guy Kerry was. So I'm hoping that as this channel grows, we do more things. We can do that too. We can help people out and who aren't just part of this community, people who need help. And so if you want to come on the show, if you got a story to tell, if you got an encounter to talk about, if you just want to talk about your encounter off the air, reach out, email me, and I will get back to you. That's it. 38 minutes. Jesus, excuse me. Good Lord, that's a long time. All right. Well, guys, listen, if nobody told you today that they love you, I love you. And I'll catch up with y'all next time. Thank you for watching. Y'all have a good day.